US President Trump's unprecedented move to target 3 Iranian nuclear sites has deepened fears of an escalation in the Middle East. It has also again drawn global attention to the Strait of Hormuz. That's because it's one of the world's most critical shipping routes. Disruption to, or even a blockade of the strait, could impact global supply chains, as it would lead to delays in transporting consumer goods and raw materials. Among these key raw materials is oil. Approximately 20% of the global oil supply is passing through the strait. Members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Saudi Arabia, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Iraq export most of their crude oil via that passage. A closure of the strait could push oil prices above $100 per barrel, according to Goldman Sachs. A sudden surge in the oil price would increase inflation and hike energy costs, disrupting industries across the globe. Regions that depend on fuel from the Middle East could face energy shortages. Asian countries would be most affected. According to the US Energy Information Administration, 84% of the crude oil and condensate that moved through the Strait of Hormuz in 2024 went to Asian markets. China, for example, accounts for a significant share of Iranian oil exports. Nearly 70% of South Korea's crude oil imports flow through the Strait of Hormuz. Japan relies on Middle East nations for more than 90% of its crude oil imports. And India uses the strait for around 40% of its oil supplies, sourced from Middle East countries. World markets are closely watching oil prices. At the moment, oil inventories remain high, partly because key crude producers have agreed to increase output in recent months. This could have a stabilizing effect on oil prices. To boost oil production further, OPEC could draw on its spare production capacity. But most of the countries with that kind of spare capacity sit in the Persian Gulf. As a result, even if more oil were produced, it would have only a limited stabilizing effect on the global market if transport through the Strait of Hormuz were disrupted. So if Iran were to shut down this choke point, a global rethink of oil transport logistics would be needed fast.